Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here. Sorry I missed on Wednesday. So let's pick up where the previous speaker left off, which I thoroughly enjoyed what she was going through. So let's go back to Isaiah 8 and 20 and
Isaiah 8 and 20.
Hold on a second. And the other Isaiah, what is it?
28, 9, and 10.
Thank you.
To the law and to the testimony. If they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them.
Okay, so this is what the previous speaker was talking about, was the law and the testimony. She was showing you through all these stories, shall we say, how these pointed to Yahshua the Messiah, and this all took place prior to his death, burial, resurrection, which is the law and the testimony. The law is the first 5 books of Moses. The testimony is the next 34, which would be Joshua through Malachi. Go on.
Isaiah 28, 9, and 10. Whom shall he teach knowledge? And whom shall he make to understand doctrine?
Okay.
Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast.
Right.
For precept must be upon precept.
Right.
Precept upon precept. Line upon line, line upon line. Here a little and there a little. 11th verse. For with
that's
stammering
good
lips.
right there. So what she was saying here was line upon precept here, precept there, or precept upon precept, precept upon precept. And we have these precepts which Dr. Pettigrew was pointing out of the blood, the water, the spirit, which were these witnesses or witnesses in the earth, which that is Yahshua the Messiah. These witnesses were in him when he gave up the spirit on the cross there, and then the Roman soldier pierced him in the side. Forthwith came their blood and water, showing that all 3 of these witnesses were in him, and these witnesses testified to his death, burial, resurrection. And these witnesses are lined up, one upon the other, starting from Adam all the way down to Yahshua the Messiah, and they continue through Yahshua the Messiah with all the disciples right up to this, to Omega, to the end, to that Sabbath day. Okay, there will be witnesses always pointing to Yahshua the Messiah in almost everything you look at. But going back here to the law and prophets, because that's what we're told to go to, because this is what shows the purpose and the plan of Yahweh, is how Adam came in. Adam was given the commandment back here in the garden not to eat of that fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, because in the day that he did eat of it, he would surely die. So Adam, well, actually then along comes Lucifer, and he deceives Eve into eating that fruit, and she passes that fruit on to Adam. Adam willingly took that piece of fruit and ate of it, knowing that he was going to die. He was told by Yahweh in that day that you touch it, and it is going to happen. Just like Joshua back here, when he talked to the children of Israel there in the land of Canaan on the 24th chapter, he told them, you're telling me now that you're putting your faith in Yahweh, but I'm telling you, someday it's going to change. You will depart from the faith. And that's what let's get that, where he tells Adam, in the day that you surely eat, in the day of. Because there's no if in here, right? You're not going to find if you eat this, or maybe when you do it, read it, would you please?
Genesis 2, starting at 16. And Yahweh Elohim commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat. But of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat of it. For in the day that thou eatest thereof thou shalt surely die.
Okay, so he was telling Adam that he was surely going to die in that day, and that it was going to happen. And Adam ate of that fruit, and he did die. Now, we read that Adam lived 930 years. So how could Adam die in the day? Well, his soul died instantaneously in that moment, and this is depicted here with his hands being covered, showing that condemnation of his soul, right? But let's get, let's get Genesis 5 and 5. And also Psalms 90 and 4 and or 2 Peter 3 and 8.
Genesis 5 and 5. And all the days that Adam lived were 930 years, and he died.
Okay, so we know Adam lived 930 years. Now, he was told he was going to die in the day. All right? And this is just a physical representation of the spiritual death that his soul suffered the moment he touched of that fruit. Psalms 90 and 4? Or 2 Peter?
2 Peter 3 and 8.
Or either one.
2 Peter 3 and 8. But beloved, be not ignorant of this one thing.
So be not ignorant of this one thing. Go on.
That one day is with Yahweh as 1,000 years.
One day is as 1,000 years.
And 1,000 years as one day.
And 1,000 years as one day. So, one day with Yahweh is 1,000 years for us. Adam only made it 930 years. So he died in the day, in that 1,000-year day. Okay, so we have that death. He, as I mentioned, he was buried in his guilt or his condemnation, right? And then through childbearing, there's given the promise of a resurrection. Let's go ahead and get that. Genesis 3 and 15, if you would, please.
Genesis 3:15. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed.
Okay.
It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel.
Right.
16. And unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee.
Okay, so it's through her seed that you could say a resurrection, which Yahshua, there was a death where he willingly came in and died for his bride, which was the tribe of Israel, right? Buried in Joseph's new tomb, and then rose again that third day, showing this death, burial, resurrection back here. Now with Noah in this plate, Yahweh came to Abraham, Noah, I'm sorry, and told him that there was 120 years, that he had 120 years to preach, that he was basically fed up with mankind because the intent of their thoughts was evil continually. Did I get that right? Yeah, I'm the great paraphraser, I know.
6 and 13.
So let's go ahead if you can find that. 3 and 6, isn't it?
Genesis 6 and 13.
6 and 3. I'm sorry, I got it backwards.
And 6 and 13. Genesis 6 and 13.
Okay.
And Elohim said unto Noah, the end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them.
Okay, so like back here with Adam, okay, Adam died instantaneously, but it took 930 years to manifest that death. Right there, Yahweh just declared the end of all flesh. They're done. But it's going to take 120 years to manifest that death. Okay, go on.
And behold, I will destroy them with the earth. Make thee an ark of gopher wood. Room shalt thou make in the ark, and shall pitch it within and without with pitch.
Yep. All right. So he told the people that they were going to, or he told Abraham that he needed to build this ark. Noah, thank you. Again, Abraham. That's the next one. That he had 120 years to prepare this ark, get it built, and to warn the people. Let's get that, Ezekiel 33, 4 through 6. Okay, because it's important that he warned the people. He was given the knowledge of what was going to happen, what was coming. And so it was his duty to preach to the people.
Ezekiel 33 and 4. Then whosoever heareth the sound of the trumpet, and taketh not warning, if the sword come and take him away, his blood shall be upon his own head.
Okay, so Noah preached to these people for 120 years, and they didn't heed the warning. So the blood is upon their own head. Go on.
He heard the sound of the trumpet and took not warning.
Right.
His blood shall be upon him.
Right.
But he that taketh warning shall deliver his soul.
Okay, so if they had taken warning, their soul would have been delivered, which Noah and his 7, total 8, they did take that warning. Go on, let's read on there.
But if the watchman see the sword come and blow not the trumpet,
Right.
and the people be not warned, if the sword come and take any person from among them, he is taken away in his iniquity.
Okay.
But his blood will I require at the watchman's hand.
All right, so they still would have died in their iniquity even if Noah hadn't preached, but their blood would have been on Noah's head or his hands because he did not warn them. But he did warn them, and they did not take that warning, so the blood was upon their own head. So there's a death there where they died in the waters of the flood, and they're buried within the waters of the flood. The whole earth is buried within the waters of the flood. And then, of course, 7 days before the flood happens, Noah and his family and all the creatures are put in the ark, and Yahweh closes that door. Okay? So then the waters come, and the ark rises or resurrects above the waters of the flood. So you've got a death with the people, a burial with the people, and every living thing on the earth being consumed or buried, and then the ark resurrecting, or 8 souls. Now with Abraham and King Melchizedek, or this plate here, Abraham was told by, let's go ahead and get this, maybe this is it, Genesis
22:1.
Yes.
Is that what you
Yes,
want?
thank you.
And it came to pass after these things that Elohim did tempt Abraham.
Okay, so Elohim's going to put Abraham to the test. Go on.
And said unto him, Abraham, and he said, Behold, here am I. And he said, Take now thy son, thine only son Isaac, whom thou lovest, and get thee into the land of Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains which I will tell thee of.
Okay.
And Abraham rose up early in the morning and saddled his ass, and took 2 of his young men with him, and Isaac his son, and clave the wood for the burnt offering,
All right.
and rose up and went unto the place which Elohim had told him. Then on the 3rd day Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place afar off. And Abraham said unto his young men, Abide ye here with the ass, and I and the lad will go yonder and worship and come again to you.
Okay, that's good right there. So Yahweh came to Abraham in a vision, in a dream, and told him, or in a vision, and told him that he was to take his son Isaac, 3-day journey to Mount Moriah, where he was to sacrifice him for Yahweh. So being obedient, having faith in Yahweh, because he was given the promise that through Isaac, you know, his seed would perpetuate, would be blessed through Isaac. So Abraham had faith. He believed in Yahweh that this was going to happen because Yahweh had promised it to him. He promised he would have Isaac, and he did in his old age. Yahweh proved to him, I'm going to do what I say, right? So Abraham had faith that Isaac would be resurrected. Let's go ahead and get Hebrews 17 through 19, please.
Hebrews 11:17. By faith, Abraham, when he was tried, offered up Isaac, and he that had received the promises
Okay, it
offered
said
up.
by faith. By faith he did this. Go on. And this
And-
is important. If you don't have faith in Yahweh, you're lost. Go on.
And he that had received the promises offered up his only begotten son.
What does it say? Faith is a substance hoped for?
11:1.
Yeah.
11:1. Now faith is the substance of things hoped
Ah,
for,
all right. Okay.
the evidence of things not seen.
There you go. All right, let's continue with this here.
18. Of whom it was said that in Isaac shall thy seed be called.
Right.
19. Accounting that Yahweh was able to raise him up even from the dead, from whence also he received him in a figure.
Okay, so he had faith that Yahweh was going to come through with the promise that he had given him. And so he willingly offered up his son, and his son willingly allowed himself to be placed on that altar. Just as Yahshua the Messiah here willingly allowed himself to be put on this cross. Okay? So Isaac being a type and shadow of Yahshua the Messiah, being obedient to the Father. Just as Yahshua was obedient to Yahweh to come in and do the things that he was given, the job that he was given, to come in and fulfill everything written about him in the law and the testimony. So in a vision, Abraham had Isaac dead. He killed him on that. He buried him, and then he had Yahweh resurrect him. And this was all within his, he saw it happen. He knew it was going to happen. And of course, the angel came along and prevented Abraham or stopped him from doing that. But there's that death of Isaac being offered up. Then what happened was they found the ram caught in the thickets, who is also, pointing to Yahshua the Messiah, with the horns being caught in the thicket, showing Yahshua the Messiah being caught between the law and the prophets, or having to fulfill what was in the law and the prophets. Also, this ram, is full grown, just as Joshua here in this physical body was full grown. Okay, this lamb's blood was offered up in place of Isaac. This is his blood that was offered up. Here in the migratory pattern, we have, and let's, Exodus 12.
Exodus 12 and 1.
All right, you're on it.
And Yahweh spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, In the 10th day of this month they shall take to them every man a lamb according to the house of their fathers.
Okay, 10th day, they're to take out this lamb.
A lamb for an house.
A lamb per house.
And if the household be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next unto his house take it according to the number of souls.
So if you don't have enough people in your household to eat this lamb, go ahead and join up with another household that is also of small size. And the two of you can, work on it together. Go on.
Every man according to his eating shall make your count for the lamb. Your lamb shall be without blemish,
without spot, without blemish. Yahshua the Messiah taken before Herod, not Herod, Pontius Pilate. Actually, he was taken before both. But before Pontius Pilate, Pilate put him through questionnaires. Find no fault, no guilt. I don't see anything wrong with this guy. Go on.
a male of the first year.
And this is the male of the first year. First one back here, that's, you could say the first year, although there was no time at the time that he came out into shape and form. Okay? Time had not started yet, but this was that first
begotten.
First begotten. Thank you very much. First begotten. And of course, back here with, back there with his conception, birth, and flight, being born when he was, that first year pointing to him, because, he was born, June 6th, right? Mm-hmm. The next year, the following year, was the Passover. He was not quite a year old. He was not a year old when that first Passover came. So that in itself is pointing to him being that first lamb of the first year. Go on.
Ye shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats. And ye shall keep it up until the 14th day of the same month. Okay,
and they're to keep it over for 4 days, or take it out on the 10th, hold it over till the 14th, or hold it over for 4 days, just as Yahshua the Messiah was held over until this fourth age. At the start of the fourth age, Yahshua came in. Go on.
And the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening.
Okay, and the whole assembly back here, they're going to kill it in the evening. Just as the whole assembly right here when he was crucified, the whole assembly killed him. They all claimed, crucify him, crucify him. Okay? Go on.
And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the 2 side posts and on the upper doorpost of the houses.
Okay, so now they're to take this blood that they've just taken from the goat or the lamb, and they've collected it in a bowl, and they put it in the inside of their house, at the base of their door, the foot of the door, and they've dipped the hyssop in, and they're striking the two side posts and the upper door posts or the lintel. And then you've got 4 points of blood here with the blood on the floor, the two side posts, and the upper lintel. Just as you've got 4 points of blood here with the crown of thorns on his head and then the nails in his hands and his feet. Go on.
Wherein they shall eat it, and they shall eat the flesh in that night, roast with fire.
Roast with fire.
And
he was roasted when he was up here on the cross. They ridiculed him, they humiliated him, they, whatever it was they could do, they did it. Go on.
And unleavened bread. And with bitter herbs they shall eat it.
Okay, and that's to remind them of the bitter bondage that they had down here in Egypt. Unleavened bread because Yahshua the Messiah hadn't come into the world and risen yet. Go on.
Eat not of it raw, nor sodden at all with water, but roast with fire.
Right.
His head with his legs.
Right.
And with the purtenance thereof.
Okay.
And ye shall let nothing of it remain until the morning.
Okay, and they're to cook this whole thing, and whatever they don't eat, burn it up, because there was nothing left of him, or that physical body. When the women went into that tomb the next morning, there was no sign of a physical body there. He was gone. All right? Go on.
And that which remaineth of it until the morning ye shall burn with fire.
Okay.
And thus shall ye eat of it, with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand.
Okay.
And ye shall eat it in haste.
All right.
It is Yahweh's Passover.
It is Yahweh's Passover. So we have the death of the Lamb here, pointing to Yahshua the Messiah. The children of Israel, after this, because then what happened, what this was they put this blood on their door so that the angel of death, when it came that night, would spare the firstborn. Okay, because this was the 10th plague that Yahweh had made, that the firstborn would die of everything in the land of Egypt unless you had this blood on your door. Then that angel would pass by you. So but the lamb was slain. The children made a 3-day trip from Egypt here to the waters of the Red Sea, where the waters were then parted by Yahweh, and they crossed through, being guided by that cloud and that spirit in that cloud, who is Yahshua the Messiah. So you've got and they resurrected through the waters of the Red Sea into the wilderness. And then, of course, the children, or the Egyptians tried to follow them, and they were consumed or buried within the Red Sea. So they got the double death. They got the death of the firstborn, and then the death of Pharaoh and his host 3 days later, right? So you've got a death here, a burial. Let's go ahead and get this real quick. 1 Corinthians 10, 1 through 4, please, and then I'll get down.
1 Corinthians 10, 1 through 4. Moreover, brethren, I would not that ye should be ignorant how that all our fathers were under the cloud and all passed through the sea.
Okay, now this is Paul talking to the Corinthians, the Jews at Corinth. And he's saying how all our fathers, don't be ignorant, all of our fathers came through this sea. Go on.
And were all baptized unto Moses in the cloud and in the sea.
Right, baptized unto Moses in the cloud and in the sea. Go on.
And did all eat the same spiritual meat. And did all drink the same spiritual drink.
Right.
For they drank of that spiritual rock that led them, and
Right.
that rock was the Messiah.
I'm glad you caught that. Not followed, led them. Okay? In your King James, I think it says followed. Right? So, death, burial, resurrection, blood, water, spirit. With that, all praises go to Yahshua the Messiah.
And thank you, Dr. McNamara. And at this time, I'd like to call on Dr. Anwar.
Well, good evening. I don't know why Yasha's put me on the spot, but I'll go ahead and be on the spot for this gospel. I have enjoyed class thoroughly. I enjoyed the first speaker. The second speaker was hitting right on. He was going through the gospel, and he was showing you the witnesses of the blood, the water, the spirit, and the 40, which are manifested or made seen within the earth plane. I'm going to continue on the train of thought, but I'm going to go in a little bit of a different direction. Okay, so here, I'll just start here. The moderation, can you recite, moderator? Yahweh is pure spirit.
Yahweh is pure spirit, and in this state he is incomprehensible and inscrutable.
Now, what is spirit? Yahweh is pure spirit. And in this state, he is incomprehensible, unable to be scrutinized, unable to be comprehended. He's incomprehensible and inscrutable.
He is the ultimate
He's the ultimate
source,
substance,
limits,
and
bounds.
You see this cloud going all around this chart. He is the source, the the source,
Substance.
the substance,
The
the limits, the bounds
of everything.
of everything. And this fiery cloud, like I said, is going all around this chart. Keep going. You remember the rest?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We have Yahweh on this chart,
Now we
depicted
have
on this chart
Yahweh depicted on this chart. Read on.
as a cloud.
As a cloud.
Yahweh is not a cloud.
Now Yahweh is not a cloud. Read on.
He merely chose a cloud
He merely chose a cloud
to symbolize himself.
to symbolize himself.
because
Read
a
on.
cloud has no particular or descriptive shape and form.
Now this cloud has no particular or descriptive shape or form. Yahweh is not a cloud. He chose a cloud. Read on.
We have drawn this cloud all around the edges of this chart
Mm-hmm.
to show you that everything on the chart
Everything on the chart, read on,
is within the cloud.
is within the cloud. Read on.
In like manner, everything in the universe
Everything in the universe
abides within the pure spirit state of Yahweh.
abides within the pure spirit state of Yahweh. Keep going.
Yahweh, knowing that man could
Now,
not perceive of him.
Yahweh, who is incomprehensible and inscrutable in this state, he knows that man cannot perceive of him in this pure spirit state. What does he do about that?
He
Keep
takes
going.
on shape and
Now,
form.
he took on shape
And form.
and he took on form. So this here is this here. He took on shape, the same spirit, not three different entities. He took on shape and he took on form right within himself as Yahweh Elohim. This is the word. This is the word,
Right.
not the Bible.
Right.
This is the word or the Son. A super incorporeal being. Super mean above. Incorporeal meaning spiritual. Super incorporeal, anthropomorphic, meaning man-like being. He took on shape and form. See, Adam, we think, oh, he looks like, the Creator looks like Adam. But Adam came in the likeness and image of Yahweh Elohim. He took on shape and took on form right within himself as Elohim. This is the Word or Son, a super incorporeal being that is having the shape and form of a man, but without flesh and blood. Now, this form later took on shape and took on form, or came and manifested in the flesh, and we know him by Yahshua the Messiah. So here, we're just talking about Yahweh, Elohim, and Yahshua. Now, when I'm talking about Elohim, which is what I'm going to talk about right here, Elohim, not the tabernacle, does not say the tabernacle is the original pattern of the universe. Elohim is the archetype or the original pattern of the universe. That means when Yahweh leaves this pure spirit state and he takes on shape and he takes on form right within himself, this is the pattern. That's why when Tim is going through these stories, everything is following this pattern, this Elohistic pattern. Here's the word, here's the definition. Here's the word, here's the expression. So what Tim was saying was, Everything is going by this threefold tabernacle pattern. It's really going by the Elohistic pattern, but this is the definition so that we can look and see this word here. So he was taking this most holy place, court roundabout. He was showing you that bloodline, that blood on the serpent. Here, you've got the blood on the people because they didn't heed the warning. Here you've got the blood on the ram that was caught in the thickets. Here you've got the blood on the door. Now notice there's 4 points of blood. 1, 2, 3, 4 points of blood. Here you come over here to the brazen altar of sin sacrifice, which was in the tabernacle pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4 points of blood. You come over here to Yahshua the Messiah. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4 points of blood. 4 points of blood. Here, come down here to your body. You have a witness in your body. You've got the ascending, transverse, descending, sigmoid colon. Everything is following this tabernacle pattern, and that's what he was showing you. Blood. Then you come up here, water. You got the water here. You got the water in the Red Sea, following that Elohistic pattern. You've got the water or the sweat on Isaac. You've got the water from the flood. You've got the sweat on his face. Yahshua comes in. He's baptized by John. You've got water, 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 water. And then you come up here. This priest here is anointed one time at the door. So you've got that spirit here. That oil is a type of spirit. When you put oil on water, it comes to the top. Oil, it's an elevated state. So he's anointed with that olive oil. You've got this cloud that led them, like he correctly said, like she correctly read as well. It's not following them like it says in the Bible, it's leading them. So you've got that spirit here. You've got the spirit from the angel who stops Abraham from killing his son because it wasn't time for a human sacrifice. The human sacrifice was going to come one time, and it was going to be the creator of the universe stepped into a body. So you've got that spirit. You've got the spirit here. You see this angel telling Noah, okay, you're going to have to build this ark. It's going to have to be so many cubits, and there's going to be a flood. And then you've got the spirit here, Michael, driving them out of the garden. Blood, water, spirit. It's following that tabernacle pattern, which is pointing to the real word or the Elohistic archetype original pattern of the universe. You come over here, you see Yahshua here. Here, he's got this dove above his head. And this dove is showing John that he is that true spirit, that his shoes he's not even worthy to tie or untie. So you've got this principle following through the earth pointing to Elohim. Now go ahead and get Genesis 1:1.
Genesis 1:1. Mm-hmm. In the beginning, Elohim created the heaven and the earth.
So in the beginning, this is that word we're talking about. In the beginning, Elohim, who's the original pattern of the universe, in the beginning, Elohim creates the heaven and the earth. Read on.
And the earth was without form and void.
Now the earth is without form and it's void. Read on.
And darkness was upon the face of the deep.
Now darkness is upon the face of the deep. Read on.
And the spirit of Elohim moved upon the face of the waters.
Now the spirit of Elohim moves upon the face of the waters. Read on.
And Elohim said, let there be light. And there was light.
And there was light. Now let's go ahead and get that. Here. Let me go back here. I'm going back here. It's okay. You can stay there. Go ahead and get me in the Elohim book. I think I can do it without it, but I might need the support of the Elohim book.
First Chaosis, first day.
We can go back to that, but I'm going to go to the first day first. Okay, so what he's reading there, we're talking about Elohim. Everything is going to take you back to Elohim, who is the archetype or the original pattern of the universe. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this to point to it and you believe it, it will happen. Same thing, we're made in the image and likeness of the Creator. So here, it's going to start in the spirit and it's going to come down in a manifestation. So here, if you take this, you've got the inorganic earth, okay? And it's covered, like he said, with darkness. Now in the earth, you've got 4 sides. You've got north, east, west, south. North, east, west, south. I'm not pointing to the right direction. Now, come over here, line it up. Here in the tabernacle pattern, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 points of blood. 4 points of blood, you've got four directions in the earth. Here in the earth, you've got lines of longitude and lines of latitude. I think I went the other way around, but that's okay, you get the point. Here, you've got this graded configuration here, which is pointing to that lines of longitude, lines of latitude. Now, over here, you've got this burning in the earth. You can see it here, you can see it here, you can see it here. But there's a burning in the earth, a molten fire that is in the earth. Why is there molten fire in the earth? Because this day here is going to point you to here, but you're not going to understand this unless you see this. So here, you got that burning here, you've got that burning here, okay? Right, the altar of sin sacrifice. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, you've got lines of longitude, lines of latitude, you've got that fire in the earth, covered with darkness. The earth is covered with darkness. Now you come over here, why did they do this? Why did the people have to bring a sacrifice to the priest and kill it themselves? Because they were heavenly? They were in darkness. Their consciousness was in darkness. Just like back in Egypt, they were in darkness. So you've got this darkness that covers the earth, darkness that covers this earth. Darkness. Here, these people are going to the priest not because they're in the light, but because they're in darkness. Now, you take this earth. It's covered with water. You just read it. That was Moses' account. The earth is covered with water. You come over here, you've got this water here over the brazen altar of sin sacrifice called the brazen laver. So you've got a type of earth and you've got a type of water, that water covering the earth, that water covering the earth. Then you've got the Spirit. It says the Spirit of Elohim moved upon the face of the deep. Why is the Spirit of Elohim moving upon the face of the waters or the face of the deep? You come over here. That priest has to be anointed one time at the door. This showing you this, but it's going to go by this tabernacle pattern. So here you've got earth covered in water, spirit. Now, you've got the first night here. And at the first night, in between the first night, you've got a veil. Here it says division between evening and morning. Now, if you look at any horizon, you see what? Blue, purple, and scarlet veils. Why are they blue, purple, and scarlet? Why do you look in the sky at a sunset or a sunrise and it's blue, purple, and scarlet? Because it's going by this pattern. Here you've got blue, purple, and scarlet, all woven in the veils. And the veils are very important because that's a transition. There's going to be movement here. 4 means door. It's an entering. So you've got this door here at the first night, division between evening and morning, and you've got this division here between the holy place and the court roundabout. Now you move up from the court roundabout through the veil. Here, you've got the Spirit again. It says moving upon the face of the water. Genesis 1 and 3 through 5. Can you get that, please?
And Elohim said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And Elohim saw the light, that it was good. And Elohim divided the light from the darkness. And Elohim called the light day, and the darkness he called night.
Right.
And the evening and the morning were the first day.
And the evening and the morning are the first day, which is going to take you over here to Yahshua the Messiah. Because see, I'm talking about the tabernacle pattern, and I'm not giving you the full thing. Because here you can take this and point it to Yahshua the Messiah. Because here, you've got him. It turns dark. What does Joshua call it? He says he calls the light day and the darkness he calls night. People cannot figure out those 3 days and 3 nights. Here, you've got Joshua placed on the cross. And I don't want to do the times and stuff right now because I'll mess it up. But here, you've got this sacrifice put on this wood, and it goes dark. So here, you've got this sacrifice, and there was wood. And it was put here, and there was a fire. Just like over here, Joshua's put in the tomb, and there's a fire. There's so many principles, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4 points of blood on him. 1, 2, 3, 4 directions. 1, 2, 3, 4 points of blood. Thank you. On the altar of sin sacrifice. Everything is going by this tabernacle pattern.